Got it. Oh, no.
All right.
We
I think
can't.
we did it.
I don't know. It says it's not working, so I don't know
It
if it's
says,
working.
for me, it says it's streaming live on Facebook. Well,
Okay, well, we're gonna hope that that is true.
what a day.
Um, for all of you joining us, we apologize. We just found out that Zoom has changed some settings, and so we are trying to stream, and it's giving us a lot of trouble. Um, hopefully that's working. Are you seeing it so that you can share it, Elizabeth?
Oh, yeah. It says we are live.
Yay. Okay, let's share.
Oh, my goodness.
It's
What a morning.
not what it says on my
So
end. So
surprise to the general public. We're doing a Q&A. Normally, you wouldn't get to see this, but surprise. What a happy Monday. Oh,
oh
my
boy.
goodness.
Okay, so let me know when that seems like it's being
Yeah,
shared.
we are,
Awesome.
we are
Great.
sharing. We are good to go.
Wonderful. Friends, we are so excited to see you. It has been quite the time. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We are going to be talking boundary setting at the table, which I know comes up a ton, especially with our older toddler and above kiddos. So, leading that discussion today is my favorite person to talk about boundaries, our parent coach.
No pressure at
Elizabeth.
all
No
today.
pressure. So, Elizabeth, I would love if you just started a little bit because I think one of the things that always strikes me as a parent, right, is when I try to set what I think are boundaries, they are not boundaries. They're not actually boundaries. So, I think like that's a good starting place.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, parents, we tend to think about setting boundaries as the same thing as setting rules, right? So rules being, here are the things you cannot do. Usually that's what it is. It's like, we're
Mhm.
not going to slide down the banister today, or you can't hit your sister, or, right? So usually when we think about setting up our homes and raising children, we think about tiny humans with not fully developed brains yet. And so we are going to set rules that they need to follow. Behave in this way, do not behave in this way. Um, and I think the reality is that that's based a little bit on a myth. The myth being that you, as an outside force, force is a bad word there, but as an outside force, can kind of control somebody else's behavior by telling them what they can do and not do. And because you're the parent and this is the child, they should just sort of default into what you have structured as being appropriate or not appropriate. That is sort of a losing battle. I think the reality is that even if this is your child, you really can't control someone else's behavior. You really can't get them to do certain things. Or if you can get them to do, we probably should ask bigger questions around what you have to do to get them to do, if you will. So I think the message is that a boundary is not you as a parent explaining to your child what they can and cannot do. It's not get your feet off the table. It's not don't speak to me that way. A boundary is not um, come to the table right now. Those are all statements of what you want them to do. What you want their behaviors to be. What a boundary is helping your child understand how you will react to their choices. In other words, a boundary states what you can control, which the only thing really you can control is yourself, how you show up in that moment of parenting to say, my job is to keep, as a parent, is to keep you healthy and safe. And in order to do that, here's how I am going to show up for you. In other words, it usually almost always starts with the pronoun I, me, myself, and I, not you. right? Or the kind of implied you of do not slide down the banister, being you do not slide down the banister.
Yeah,
Um,
we have, I mean, we have a big one that we've been doing recently because our toddler, he likes to get on my lap and immediately start kicking. And I don't like it. Like I get very angry. And my initial reaction is to be like, stop kicking, right? Which
mhm.
just makes him look at me and go, kick, and then kicks, right? Because that's his spirit. And so I've tried to reframe recently that if he's doing that, I instead stop myself and say
Right.
something like, I do not want to be kicked. If you kick me again, I will remove you from my lap. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what happens. He kicks and I remove him. And he hates that and screams and kicks and all the things, but I'm no longer being kicked. Right. And so and then he'll calm down. He's frowning. I was like, would you like to try again? Okay. But if
Mm-hmm.
you kick, I will remove you from my lap. And I just
Right.
repeat it as to what I'm going to do if
Right.
he does a certain behavior.
Right. And then what that does for kids is it gives them some autonomy. In other words, kids have the chance to create the world that they want. I want to sit on my mom's lap, and I don't get to sit on my mom's lap if I hurt her. And so I'm going to have to make a different decision with my body to keep my body controlled and not harmful if I want to engage the world the way that I want to, right?
Or the
So
flip side, right? That he might decide, no, right now, I want to
I really
kick
want to
more
kick.
than I want to sit on mom's lap.
Yeah,
Fine, but I'm
great.
not going to be kicked.
Have a
So,
pillow.
yep.
Right? Yeah, I think that the places where boundaries get kind of difficult is that I think there's a lot of parents who can get behind the idea that, okay, I can articulate what I'm going to do in a situation that's not like harmful, right? So, hey, I have chosen not to offer you Cheetos today. That might be a sad moment for your toddler, but they're not harming anything. Nobody's in danger. Boundaries get really, really hard when you're looking at, wait, you're telling me I'm supposed to watch them hit their sister and just say, hey, I don't want you to hit your sister. No, that is not what we're saying. Boundaries create safety by identifying sort of what is happening and then responding in the way that you know will keep your child safe. So, a really good rule of thumb to think about it when you're thinking about when do I intervene sort of with my body? In other words, I'm going to hold your hands, right? Or I am going to remove you from the situation is to ask yourself, is this harming people or property, right? So, if your child is engaged in a behavior that's going to harm people, themselves or others, or property, we intervene in a more present way. So it might look like something, where I very firmly look at my, my youngest and I say, I am not going to let you hurt your sister. That is not safe. And I will hold her hands and I say, I will sit with you until your body is calm. And I will not allow you to hit your sister. That is not safe. And I will remove her from the situation if I need to. I will hold her hands. I will bring her into my lap. Not obviously, we're not talking about restraint here, but we're talking about I will physically intervene in safe and appropriate ways to keep you from harming people or property. Now, boundaries around mealtime don't always involve the harm of people or property. And so a lot of the time when we're talking about setting boundaries at the table, all we're doing is helping our children to know what to expect and then always following through in that way,
And
right?
I think
So,
that's the hardest part. I think
yeah.
what's hardest about boundaries is not setting them, but is then having to follow through with what you say.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
like that's, when I tell families, because I know one of the questions we had even before was this idea of like, well, what if my kid keeps getting up? I tell families they get one warning and then the meal is over. Oh, I see you keep getting up. That tells me you're done. I'm going to end the meal. And families are like, so they just wouldn't eat, right? And so the problem is that the boundary means that you may have to enforce something that means your child doesn't actually do the thing you're hoping for, i.e. sitting
Yeah.
and eating more. But it's the long game, right? Like we don't want them getting up and running around. And yes, in the short term, holding that boundary means that they might not eat at a meal. And that's going to be really scary and frustrating. However, long term, it's far more likely to result in them sitting and staying at the table and everybody enjoying that meal.
Right. Yeah. The question I get a lot is, well, how many times do I have to set a boundary before it changes my child's behavior? And I actually think that's the wrong question to ask. I think the bigger question to ask is, well, how many times do you have to compromise your boundary before your kid knows you're full of crap? right? Like my mom can say she's going to respond this way and she won't. And so it's just an empty, kind of empty threat here. And I can just really do whatever I want to do, right? Um, but really, I think most of the time, parents, when they set a boundary and then don't follow through on it, they've done one of a few things. One, they've declared a repercussion that they're not actually willing to do.
Mhm.
Right. So you've set yourself up for failure because it's if you do that one more time, I'm canceling our trip. You're probably not going to cancel your trip.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
like, you've set yourself up for failure because you've declared a repercussion that you're not going to do. Or two, you've set a repercussion that you know in the long term you want, but in the moment, your anxiety around them not eating is so much bigger than your long-term perspective that now you're making decisions more based on the fact that you feel anxious and not based on the life you actually want for yourself and your child. So I think if you are running into I mean, and again, this can be meal times or beyond, but if you're setting boundaries for your kids and realizing I never follow through, or I rarely follow through, which again takes one time of not following through for your kid to go, you are full of crap, right? But if you do that, I think you need to look at one of two things. One, have I set myself up? Like I've declared a repercussion I'm not actually willing to do. Or two, I am willing, but I'm only willing if they eat more, right? Like your anxiety is sort of overriding the big picture here.
And
And
again, what you just said, where you said, if they
Mhm.
eat more, that's not a boundary anymore because the boundary is
Right,
not what they are doing. It's what
right.
you are going to do. And it is independent of what the child does.
Right. Right. I mean, that is not easy. But
No.
the hardest part about boundaries, for me, and I might be projecting my experience, is for one, I really want to control my child's behavior. And for two, I am often like, I can sometimes feel pretty out of control in my own life, right? So the discipline of recognizing, hey, I can't control you, tiny human. But I have to control myself. Self-control is hard. I don't enjoy it. Self-control is really, really hard. And when I have set a boundary and my child acts in a way that I have to follow through with that boundary, I have to be in control of myself, meaning my anxiety is not in control of me. My rational brain, which we're all kind of wondering sometimes if it's there. But my rational brain, the part of me that recognizes I am not raising children. I am raising adults. I am raising people who I want to be happy, autonomous, confident, respectful people of integrity. In my case, it's women because I have all girls. But in my case, women of integrity who navigate the world in safe, productive ways. Um, that's the end product I want is healthy, strong, confident people of integrity navigating the world, which means I have to be able to be that myself. Oh, God, help us all. But I also have to be able to take the boundaries that I want to set and make sure that it's in line with the ultimate big parenting goal of raising adults, not just raising children. And so I think that, again, when we're talking about boundaries in general, if it starts with a commandment, do not or do, it's not a boundary. That's an attempt at controlling something you can't control. Or that if you can control it, it's usually through fear or manipulation, which is that what we want? Probably not. But a boundary that starts with, hey, labeling what the situation is, that is unsafe. Hey, that is unkind. Hey, that is it is not, it's mealtime. It's time to eat. It's not playtime. Labeling what it is and then explaining what you're gonna do. Hey, it's actually, I didn't serve feet for dinner. So if you put your feet up, I'm gonna go ahead and pull you down from the table because it tells me you're all done and we don't want to smell your stinky feet while you're eating. Right. And then doing it every single time consistently so that your child starts to go, I don't want to be taken down because you made my favorite mac and cheese. And if I put my feet up, I don't get it. Right. Like they learn to live within the world that they want for themselves, which because of your boundaries starts to line up with the world you want for them. So anything that starts with a commandment of like a prohibition or a take one more bite, etc. That's not a boundary. That's control. And that's not the same thing. But a boundary is articulating how you will be, how you are going to show up for your child in the choices that they make and the world that they make. And anything that drives you towards that, that's a boundary, right? And by the way, you can apply this on all the things, right? Hey,
We
partner.
just did, yeah, we just did this today we were at the beach and we needed to leave to go get,
Yeah.
um,
I want
um,
to go to the beach. Why
I know.
don't I come? Oh, I'm on the other
Well,
side of the
come
country.
visit anytime.
Fine.
So we were down and my youngest was very involved with the sand and I gave him a 5 minute warning. Hey, buddy, we got 5 more minutes. Hey, look at me. Okay, 5 more minutes and we're all done. And I, explained and then 1 minute warning. Okay, one more minute. Do you want to dump it? What do you want to do? And he was having a really hard time putting the shovels down and
Buddy.
like moving. And I said, I see you're having trouble stopping. It is time for us to go. Do you want to put the shovels down or do you need
Yeah.
mama to help? And I
Yep.
like set this expectation of like, oh, you're having trouble, mama
Yeah.
will help. And I got involved. And so it
Yeah.
was like I gave him that opportunity. And then when it was not me repeating, come on, put the shovels on, put the shovels on, it was just,
Yeah.
oh, I see you're having trouble. I'm going to help now. I'm going to
Yeah.
intervene. Um,
Yeah. You
and so that was
highlight
just,
something
yeah,
so important where I really do think the most effective boundaries are fueled by empathy, not frustration. It's
yeah.
not that we don't feel
Which
frustration,
is what makes
but
boundaries so
yeah.
hard for me. I think boundaries are
Same.
hard for me both for consistency, but also I feel like we talk about boundaries and it becomes this buzzword that people think like makes their life more empowered and all these things. The
Right.
reality is in parenting especially, I find that boundaries initially are stressful and disappointing and frustrating and like I don't set a boundary and then feel like oh just feel so empowered. Instead I have a kid who's tantruming because I set a boundary and held the boundary and I'm sitting there like okay now they didn't eat and they're throwing a fit. Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that the next step is going to be behavior you enjoy.
Right, right. And let's also be honest that this is something I think most parents, at least for, again, I'll project my experience. I think we have to grow into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are days I am touched out. There are days I have worked really, really long hours and my kids are melting down at the end of the day, or, Monday nights are gymnastics night in my house. So everybody gets to bed late. It's like, come on, to showers. And there's nothing my littlest human hates more than being rushed, right? She just does not, her little brain cannot handle it. And at the same time, I'm rushed. We need to go. It is shower time, child, right? So I think we have to give ourselves a smidge of grace to recognize I am not going to say it perfectly every time, but I do want to commit to practicing. Hey, Malia, that's my little human, by the way. Littlest, you know that. The rest of the world doesn't. Hey, Malia, I can see you're really overwhelmed, right? I want her to know I see her. I see you. You are overwhelmed. It is not wrong to be overwhelmed. It's not bad to be overwhelmed. You didn't break a moral code by being overwhelmed. I am also currently overwhelmed and I am not bad either, right? But sometimes when I find myself in that just really tense moment of, oh, could you please just get your damn shoes on, right? Or whatever. If I stop and I go, oh, hang on. What my child needs from me is to know that I see her and I can get down sometimes on her level. She's getting taller now, but less squatting, more bending. And I just say, Malia, hey, I see that you are overwhelmed. You do not like to be rushed. I understand. I don't like to be rushed either. We're gonna catch our breaths really quick. Okay. Now I need you to hop in the shower because it's bedtime. Do you want to take a shower now or in 2 minutes? Right? Like, and I'm giving her 2 minutes. I can handle 2 minutes. But what it communicates to my child is, hey, you're a human being and you are allowed to have big feelings. I really don't like calling feelings good feelings, happy feelings, sad feelings, good feelings, bad feelings. They're just big. It's like proportion. You are allowed to have big feelings. You're going to have big feelings your whole life. I have big feelings and I'm a 40-year-old woman who still has big feelings, just like all of us. So what I want for my child is the resilience of understanding, who I have a really big feeling. I feel have that feeling because I'm overwhelmed, because I don't like to be rushed. Okay, I can take a minute and catch my breath and then go forward with my day. That's the skill I want for her, again, as the happy person of integrity adult that I'm trying to raise. And I've got to be able to model that in how I set those boundaries, which means when I blow up and I lose my temper, because I do, because we do, because it happens, we all do it, then the next thing I do is repair. Hey, mom, I really lost my temper. I was feeling overwhelmed and I took that out on you and I should not have. I am really sorry. I am going to catch my breath and try that again. Right? Like modeling for them the fact that we're all going to lose it from time to time. And when we do, we can just say it, we can repair and apologize, and then we can move on with our day. So I think, again, when we're thinking big picture boundaries, and I'm sure we'll dive into meal times and stuff too, but big picture, there's no commandments, prohibitions, anything. It's all centered on how you're going to respond, which teaches them to make the choices that elicit the response they want from you. It's recognizing and starting with empathy. Hey, you feel really mad. Or, oh, you are really tired today. I hear you. I know. I am pretty sleepy too. Empathizing with that, recognizing the feeling, letting them know it's okay, and then modeling with them. How do I move through this feeling in a way that is not harmful to people or property? I take deep breaths. I give myself a break. I get a big, tight hug for those kids with lots of sensory input, like my littlest, right? I take a little space because I don't so much like to be touched, like my oldest. And then we move on. We just keep going.
And I think what's important is that a lot of times those big feelings are going to come because you held a boundary.
Yep.
And the important piece for me is that just because they have big feelings and you empathize and work through it does not mean that we then go back on the boundary. So,
Right.
if I've ended the meal because I gave the warning and it happened, and now we're having big feelings because we actually wanted to eat more of the meal, I will sit and hold and say, like, I know you really did want more. I hear that. And once we're calm, yep, well, I'm still hungry. I hear that. We are going to have a snack in just a little bit.
Yep.
And, I'm sure you'll fill your belly then. Right. So
Right.
I still don't
Right.
give them another chance because
Right.
that is going back on the boundary.
Well,
So
like
I
crap.
think, yeah. So
Well,
I
like
think
crap.
that's important to recognize too, is
Yeah.
that like they are allowed to have big feelings about the
Right.
boundary. And just because you work through them does not mean that we now earn another chance at
Right.
attempting the boundary.
Right. Tattoo it on your forehead or your arm, write it on your face, write it somewhere. It is not my job to fix big feelings. It's not. It is not my job to make big things go away so that your big feeling calms down. That again, losing battle. You can't follow your kid around for the rest of their lives and eliminate everything that causes frustration, irritation, anger, overwhelm, whatever it might be. It's not your job to make big feelings go away or to change something so that the tantrum stops. It's your job to be with your child in the big feeling and help, by modeling, by encouraging, by coaching, help them work through it. Oh, wow. I can see you are very mad. That is a really, really big feeling. Ooh, I hear you. You are really, really angry. I am listening to you. Oh, let's take some breaths so that our bodies feel safe and calm down. Okay, you feel mad because, oh, you wanted your Cheetos. It is hard not to get what you want. I know. I don't like it when I don't get what I want either. Oh, we're going to keep our bodies really safe. I hear what you're saying, right? Again, we're just down on their level, empathizing in a way that isn't saying, oh, okay, well, fine, I'll go get you the Cheetos. No, okay, well, now you're full of crap. I've said crap a lot, but now you're full of crap. And kiddo knows, I know the choice to make to get the result I want. I want the Cheetos. So if I do this, I will do this. She will do this, or he. And at the end of the day, your response teaches your child what to do to get the world the way that they want it. The end of the day, by just holding that firm boundary, and hey, sometimes the Cheetos are there already, and sometimes they're just not. And the kiddo can have big feelings. I do. I do when I want ice cream at 10 p.m. at night, and there isn't any in my freezer. um,
I,
ugh,
I hate it when
so
healthy
annoying,
me does the
and then
grocery shopping.
do I want to spend $30 for Uber Eats to bring me a blizzard? Probably not. But, control the bank account this time. But anyways, all this to say, it's not your job to make big feelings go away. It is your job to demonstrate how to work through them by stay present, stay in the feeling with your child, demonstrate what to do. That is how you grow resilient kids. hey, I can feel really angry and I know that the anger will go away. And I know that why I feel angry is okay. And I know how to handle it in a way that doesn't cause harm to people or property. That's how you raise like adults is again, stay in it, stay with them, stay present, work through it, and then on with the day.
We did have a question come in. So they were wondering about, so leaving anxiety aside,
Yeah.
if your kiddo is having a tantrum at the table and they don't like what you've served or they're just in a mood, how do we handle that? If you
Oh,
remove them
good
from the
question.
table, they're hungry, cranky, won't settle. They know this touches on DOR and stoplight method to begin with, but you've served dinner, they don't eat it, you end the meal. How do you handle it as your kid is still hungry? And they're talking the case of like a younger kiddo, 15 months.
Oh,
I will
yeah.
say, my initial thought is that part of this depends on, I think there are lots of options. So, I
Yeah.
know, Elizabeth, you talk, sorry, Zoom really likes
I
them.
love the emoji thing now.
I really hate
The heart
them.
one. Let's see.
Yeah, I know all of
Oh,
them.
never
My
mind.
pediatric clients really like them because it does all sorts of, come on, do it. You're being
I
so
know it's being now, right when we'd want it to do it, it won't.
okay, fine. I promise they do cool things, guys.
Boundaries,
Um,
Zoom.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I know one that you talk about,
Yeah.
especially when kids are really dysregulated, is sometimes talking about whether they can come to your lap, right? And
Yeah.
so I think part of it depends on what your bound, like, so for example, at my house, you can sit on laps, but you can't eat while you're on my lap because I
Mm.
have 4 kids. And so if
Yeah. Not
everybody gets to sit
possible.
on my lap and try to eat, it would be total chaos. And so instead, at our house, the boundary is okay, you're having trouble. Would you like to sit
Mhm.
with me? And they sit with me.
Mhm.
And then if they say eat or they're trying to eat, I'm like, oh, do you want to go back in your chair? And so
Yeah.
they have to make the decision. If they're
Yeah.
hungry and they want to eat, they have to be in their chair and they know that. That's the boundary I'm setting.
Mhm.
But if they're dysregulated, I'm happy to hold them while I'm eating my dinner and support them and like they can be with me. So that's
Mhm.
that comes to mind for me in terms of like it kind of depends on what boundaries you're setting at your table.
Yeah.
At my table, everybody has to sit in their seats to eat.
Yeah.
So that's the boundary we've set.
My kiddo was 15 months when she went through this whole process, and so I remember it so well. I think, this is where you got to tap in to your broader parental knowledge about your kiddo too, right? So some of it depends on why are they melting down? Are they melting down because it is like we are overtired and it is nap time? Are they melting down because they don't like what you offered? Are they right? Like, I think tapping in a little bit to what's going on in that moment, because it's probably different at that age. Wearing the red shirt instead of the blue shirt can like ruin your whole day when you're a toddler. Um, I think so. One, I think tapping into your broader parental knowledge and going, what's happening before this, right? So that can help govern your decision. I also think that we need to remember that a tantrum is communication. It's not necessarily the choice to be naughty, right? A tantrum is communication. These kiddos still feel and think and do all the things inside, but their communication skills are so limited. And the part of the brain that understands proportional responses, it is not there at this age, right? So sometimes we think, oh, meltdown tantrum, and kind of go instantly to bad behavior almost. And I think reframing that a little bit. Okay, you're not being naughty. You're trying to communicate with me, and the thing you're communicating is huge to you. It's just, it's not coming out. So I think ask yourself the question, where is this coming from? Remind yourself that they're trying to communicate with you. And then I really think down on their level, here's the script. I actually learned it from Becky, who is our lead feeding therapist and sort of my go-to for all things, pretty much. But she taught me this script, and I use it. I use it for my kids. I think I told you to use it. Which is name what you see, name why you that feeling is there, and then just stay, and then name what they can do about it, right? So what they do about it might be different family to family, but naming what you see. Ooh, I can see that you are really mad. I can see you're really frustrated. I can see you're really overwhelmed, right? Name the emotion that you see. I can see you're feeling really anxious or nervous, or I can see you're really tired. I know it's been a long day, right? So name the emotion that you see, empathize with it. Oh, you are mad because you really wanted Cheetos. Or, oh, I can see you're really tired because you have had a long day, right? So what the feeling that you see, why it's there, because you're a good parent, you're paying attention, and then what can they do about it, right? If what they can do about it is come to sit on your lap, which is what I did with my kiddo. She kind of would still be attached to my body if it was allowed. It is not because she's in second grade and it's time. What a time. But when she was this age, eating really, she was an aspirator. She still has gastroparesis. There was a lot in her body that did not feel good around food. And so even when we had fixed those things, we knew we found a way for her to drink safely. We found a way to help her not be as constipated. We found some ways forward. Um, she still had the like food doesn't typically feel good and everyone watches me and there's a lot of pressure. We had to kind of work through that. And so for my kiddo, she is much more willing to try things if she can be attached to my body, or in that case to her dad's body. And so I did. If she was melting down on the way to the chair, I would just pop her on my head. Okay. Ooh, big feeling. You are feeling a little bit anxious. I hear you. Right here. Lots of calming or, ooh, you're really tired. And then I would just pop her on my lap, her plate, my plate. She sort of dabbled in both, which was fine with me, but is not with everybody. So just tell them what you are okay with them doing. Hey, do you want to get out and give me a big hug till you feel more calm and then we'll hop back in your chair? Or, hey, do you want to come sit on my lap till you feel better? Or, if they are tired, honestly, I'm like, call it, man. Go take a nap, right? So name what they can do about it that is acceptable to you, that lives within the life you still want to have. If you do not want them shoving food into your mouth with their hands, then don't, right? But I think, just following that script, the feeling you see, why the feeling is there, and what they can do about it that is acceptable within the life you want to have, not just the life that's going to get them to eat that one meal. Right. So I think that that's a really, really good script. If you have done the things you've offered, kind of followed that stoplight method of different, no, we're not offering 27 things, but we've got 1 to 2 things there, something they like, something that's less familiar, something that's new. You've done the things that and the big feeling is there, then just following that script of here's the feeling I see, here's why you have it, and here's what you can do about it to work through it. You can come sit on my lap, you can have a big hug. If they are going to harm people or property, where they're going to throw things at your face or kick the chair or throw things over, then remove them from the situation and go take a break until they're calm. So I would bring my kiddo to the living room or to the bedroom and again, down on one knee. Hey, I am not going to let you hit the chair because you will hurt yourself. And it's my job to keep you safe. I'm not going to let you do that. And we're going to sit here until you're nice and calm. I will stay with you. Once calm and regulated, re-entering the meal time with sort of a way to help them stay regulated. Would you like to sit on my lap or in your chair? Oh, on my lap? Okay.
And I think I just want to add, because I know some families, and I know this gets complicated for me because we have 4 kids. And so
Yeah.
I cannot reasonably stay the entire time with some of the kids because I have a 2-year-old that I have to make sure is not unaliving himself elsewhere in the house, right? So sometimes setting that boundary and staying for the big feelings looks like sitting with them for a few minutes. And if they're still really worked up, saying, okay, I have to go check on so and so, or I have to go manage this. I will be back in 2 minutes, right? And telling them that you're going to come back. Or do you want to come with me? But I want to throw that out there because I know for some parents and for me personally, when I learned some of these things, I got very overwhelmed. Like, well, how I have 4 kids. How am I supposed to be present for everybody every time? Like, I can't do that. We would never have dinner on the table. So also recognizing that yes, we want to sit with them for those feelings, but also just making them aware that you will come back, that you are still available. You will come back. Hey, I see you're still having trouble controlling your body. So I'm going to keep you here so that you stay safe and you don't hurt anybody, but I will be right back. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Those sorts of things. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I know a lot of families have more than one kiddo and that gets really hard to manage more than one kiddo. And the other thing is, and this is why we set the boundaries we do, you want to apply the same boundaries to everybody. Because if you apply different boundaries to different kids, because, oh, well, they're weaning. Okay, your other kid is totally going to take advantage of that. So that was one of the things that when we weaned our daughter, we already did division of responsibility because we already did that with our son. And there was no way we were going to offer her one thing and then tell him no because we were offering her special food. So everybody got the same thing because we needed to set that boundary that she wasn't getting special treatment. There was something special about her coming to the table, right? Like we treated that as yeah, that's the expectation, right?
Right. Right.
So I think that's important too, is that we want to have consistent boundaries, not just internal consistency for the boundary itself,
Mhm.
but for everybody,
Including you,
including
right?
us.
So
Yes.
even for parents, like, look, you're not a punching bag. Right? Like you do not get to be talked to any which way or okay, I hear your feeling. No, no, no. I will look we have a script in my house. I have two daughters. So I have a 12-year-old. She would say 8.5. I guess it is 8.5, but she would want me to know it's the half is very important. I have a 12, almost 13-year-old and an 8.5-year-old. And my 8.5-year-old is a neurodivergent kiddo who can be kind of rude, right? So she is she's like as she ADHDs harder than anyone else ADHDs sometimes, and so things fly out of her mouth and it can be kind of mean. And what I want to teach her big sister is, hey, you're not a punching bag, right? So we just because Malia has trouble with a filter does not mean you have to allow people to speak to you badly, and doesn't mean I do either. So one script we've adopted in my house and all three of us use it is, I'm not going to let you speak to me that way, try again. And bet your butt that 8.5-year-old uses that script with me too. Mom, I am not going to let you speak to me that way. Try again. And I'm like, okay. Right. And I will use it right back at her. And her sister will say, hey, I'm not going to let you speak to me that way. Try again. What does that do? One, it sets the boundary. I'm not here to be mistreated, whether I am your sibling or your parent. I am still a human being worthy of love, belonging, and respect. So I'm not going to just be a punching bag. And parents, you need to adopt that mindset, right? I don't need to just take anything to get my kid to eat or to get my kid to do something. I can take breaks. I can say, hey, I am feeling very overwhelmed and I need to take a few minutes. You guys do your thing with lunch. I'm going to go walk away, right? I need to take a break. Passing to the other partner. Just saying, hey, I will not let you speak to me that way. Try again. It allows them another opportunity. But again, reinforcing for those boundaries exist for you too. So if you don't want to be a punching bag, don't be. You don't want your kid to throw things on the floor because you are not a maid, then say, hey, I am not going to let you mess up the floor. If you throw, I will get you down and you'll help me clean it up. Right? Like showing them that follow through and that personal responsibility. This is not setting boundaries is not wishy-washy. It's actually quite firm. It's just firm in a way that controls what you can control and teaches your child to control themselves. And that's healthy. That's a good thing.
Yeah. And I know, I mean, I think like there were a couple of questions around like, oh, I have a fast eater or a slow eater,
Yeah.
kids that are getting up. And I think part of what's tricky is that boundaries are very unique to your family and what's acceptable for you.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that is, so again, using my kids as an example, because I have some kids that will fly through their food and some kids that will not. We generally expect everybody to stay at the table for about 10 minutes. That's
Yeah.
that's the reasonable expectation. If you have filled your belly at that time, you are allowed to get up,
Mm-hmm.
but you may not stay in an area that's going to be distracting to the rest of the kids at the table.
Mm-hmm.
So 9 times out of 10, my kids are going to stay at the table even when they're done eating because that's where the action is. That's where everybody is. That's where we're all hanging out. They are
Yeah.
not allowed to get up and go play 5 feet away and distract everyone else who's trying to eat. So that's the boundary we set. Hey, you have to stay 10 minutes. Okay, you're done. That's fine. You
Right.
can be all done. You want to get up? Awesome. Please head into the other room so you're not a distraction to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
again, those are the boundaries that work for us in terms of everybody can fill their bellies. And hey, you got up. You said you were done. We're no, you'll
Yeah.
have a snack later then. Sorry, I think you
Right.
got up too early. And we just kind of, because that teaches them to listen to their bodies and to listen to like, yeah, I maybe rushed that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I didn't need to do that. Um, this is,
I like
we've got somebody.
differentiating, yeah, between eating time and table time. So if you have a fast eater and they're
Yeah.
done eating, you can say, great, I see that you're done eating. We have about 5 more minutes of table time. So table time being you're here with us for relationship with no expectation to eat. And we got about 5 more, and eating time is eating time. So I think if you have a fast and a slow eater and you're like, how do I balance this? For the fast eater, giving the expectation for table time or family
Mm-hmm,
time
mm-hmm,
is great. For the slow eater, I also think that you can say, hey, we've got 5 more minutes for
mm-hmm,
lunch. If you want to fill up your belly, now's your chance.
mm-hmm.
And then end it in 5 minutes, even if they're still nitpicking. Hey, 2 more minutes to fill up your belly and then we'll be all done. Oh, 2 minutes hey, we are all done. we're going to go ahead and clean up. No. Oh, I hear you. I know. I know you're sad, but we'll have some snack in a little bit. Let's go play trucks or whatever it is you're going to do.
Yeah, and this question came in because this is a common one that kids are throwing.
Okay.
And so I know that they'll mom feels that they'll eat more if they stay longer, but they
Yeah.
also know they're supposed to set the boundary and expectation. And I think, so first, I think it's important to check in, as Elizabeth said, with that bigger context. Are you
Yeah.
putting too much on the plate? Are you overwhelming them? Are you touching their plate? Because a lot of kids will throw because you're getting in their area and they don't want you in their area.
Mm-hmm.
So paying attention to like why they're throwing, what they're
Right.
throwing first. But then I think, and this is part of what Amanda says this so well, as especially families who have that tube feeding history, it's our instinct as parents, especially as moms, to nourish our kids. And
Mm-hmm.
so the idea of letting them be hungry feels really scary to us. However, hunger from an early ended meal is not a medical emergency.
It's
It is
not starving your
uncomfortable.
child either.
Your child is okay. They are safe.
Okay.
They might be grouchy, they might be uncomfortable, and we're going to have to sit through those feelings because that's the boundary we're setting. But the reality is, the sooner you set the boundary and enforce the boundary, the quicker that behavior will stop.
Right.
I get my private clients ask all the time, well, when can you start setting that boundary? We start as soon as they start food throwing. That's
Yep.
usually around 9 months. We start it, we establish it. We usually give them one freebie. Oh, you didn't understand what I was saying. Okay, one more time. Oh, you threw again. All done. Do you know how many
Yeah.
times it's taken all four of my children?
Mm-hmm.
1 to 2.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
1 to 2 early finish meals. They've never done it
Never
again.
done it again. And I would say, mom, when you say I set the boundary of right now you're throwing food that tells me you're all done, if you're then letting him sit there to try to get it, that it's not a boundary, it's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of right. Again, it's that thing of, I know we all want to know, when will it get better, right? When will it get easier? When will they just start kind of living within those expectations? Every kid's a little different. Consistency is everything. The more you practice, the better you get, all that.
Also
But
never. Also
all
never.
right.
You're going to just have to
Also
set
then,
new boundaries as they
yeah,
get older. We currently have a
right.
burping boundary at our table because my son thinks that's hilarious. And
Yep.
so now
We
the
have that.
boundary is, if you choose to make loud belches at the table on purpose, you will
Yeah.
be removed from the table.
Yep.
So
Yep.
never.
Yep. Yep. And they turn 13 and go right back to being 3-year olds. So, but here's the thing. Again, I know he's not finished eating and will let him eat more if left in the chair. I want to push on that really lovingly because you're a good mom, I can see. Um, it looks like he is finished eating. Just because he didn't eat as much as you want him to does not mean he's not finished. Right. So I think some of this comes back to how much we expect kids to eat versus how much they really do. And we can kind of put the kind of information on portion sizes there as a response.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that you teach kids to listen to their bodies is by respecting when they do. So if he knows I throw and that means I'm done, and so he communicates with you, I'm done. And then he realizes in an hour and a half or whatever that, oh my gosh, I really wasn't done. He will start to correlate. I am going to need to fill up my belly a little bit more so
Mm-hmm.
that I don't get hungry as quick. He will figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you keep him there to get him to eat what the amount you want him to eat, it might be worth pushing on that a little bit to go, have I gone from setting a boundary that says, hey, it's my job to offer, you listen to your body, you say you're done, didn't eat as much as I would want you to, but my vision on that might be a little skewed, so I'm going to trust you. Um, oh, come on, but one more bite. I know you'll do one more bite if I just leave you here. And I might say that's, if it's not fueled in listening to him, it might be fueled in feeling anxious about how much he's eating and not eating. And then again, the question of, it might take I always think when you start implementing boundaries, give it like a week or two. It's a rough
Mm-hmm.
week or two
Mm-hmm.
as you sort of get in there. Kids don't always like new parameters. but they're really still good for them. There's a study, actually. Have I talked about the study on playground? There's a study. They actually compared what do kids do on playgrounds, and they compared a fenced-in playground with a wide open, no fenced playground. And they asked themselves, how will kids respond? The hypothesis was actually that in the no fenced areas, kids would explore more, they would climb more, and they found the exact opposite thing to be true. That the kids who were playing in the unfenced playgrounds tended to clump together. They were less likely to explore. They were less likely to be curious. They were less likely to venture out because the kind of unknown question. So they were more likely to clump together, less likely to explore. Whereas kids playing in a playground that had clear boundaries were more likely to go all the way out to those boundaries and explore and play. They were more likely to climb. They were willing to take more risks, which is good, even if it doesn't feel good, right? So what we know about kids is that even if they don't like it initially, what happens when boundaries remain just present, loving, and firm is that kids become more free to explore their worlds because they know when the world stops, they know I'm always safe in here. No truck is mowing me over within the fence. So I can explore as far as that fence will let me go. Doesn't mean I won't have moments of trying to climb over where a parent has to say, oh, no, so here's the boundary. Let's stay here. But there is so much data around kids thriving where they understand where there's something predictable. There's always a predictable response. So, mom, if they're throwing and you have said it multiple times, your kiddo is smart. Even a 15-month-old can understand repercussions. So I would say if you're leaving him there, it's not a boundary. He knows it's not a deal breaker for you. So whether he's eaten enough or not, listen to him, what he's saying. That's how you teach him to listen to his own body, communicate what he needs, and then honor that. So I would say, if he gets hungry early, he got hungry early and he's going to be okay. He's going to make it. So yeah,
And I
just a
think
loving pushback on that.
I think parents I always see it with the younger the kiddo, the more nervous they get about setting some of these things. I always like to use the example because I'm also a lactation counselor.
Mhm.
I set the same boundaries when my kids started biting when nursing. I would immediately put a finger in, pull them off and say, no, you do not bite me. We will
Mhm.
stop nursing if you are going to bite.
Yep.
Happened one, I had to end a nursing session one time with each kid. And then they were like, oh, like they didn't understand my language, but they understood the action I was stopping and
Yeah.
what was happening as a consequence. Oh, when I do that, mom does this. Okay, I shouldn't do that. So
Right.
we're talking 4 to 6 months old, and they made this connection of like, oh,
Right.
okay, cause and effect. Kids are
Yeah.
so smart and they are so capable of looking for those cause and effect things because their whole life depends on it. They don't
Yeah.
understand the language. So
Yeah.
that's why setting those boundaries, being consistent, there isn't really a time that's too young in most cases. Like maybe not newborns, but beyond that, there are very few times that there's not some ability to set some consistency and boundaries and routines that
Right.
kids won't very quickly start to understand them.
Yeah. And kids are wired to connect to you.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
Kids are wired to connect to you, which means they are perceptive to how you feel. They are perceptive. They understand all those kinds of things. So you are not going to damage your relationship with your child by implementing a boundary that makes them mad at you for a moment. I mean, think about you and I have been mad at each other, but we really actually still like each other.
Yeah.
We always come back.
Yeah.
We always go, okay, fine. Most of the time it's me telling you were right. Also, I hate that.
Maybe. I mean, you're
Right,
much
like,
better at boundary setting. So
right. I don't know about that. But again, kids are wired to connect with you, and them being mad at you for a moment, for even for an afternoon, is not going to sabotage your relationship with them. So reminding yourself, name the feeling, tell them why you see it, help them know what to do about it. Oh, you are mad that you had to get down after you threw your food. I know it's hard to stop an activity that you are enjoying. I get it. I'm right here with you. We're going to clean up. We'll have snack again in a little while, in a couple hours. But until then, let's go, big love, big hugs, repair, on they go. This is not the first relationship where they're going to be mad at someone. Right. So
and it's
it's gonna
also
happen.
teaching them not just how to be resilient and get through big feelings, but
Yeah.
also that they can and should set boundaries for themselves,
Yeah.
which I think is really important because it's something that we're demonstrating and modeling for our kids, that it is okay for them to set boundaries. Like your girls set boundaries with one another or with you. You're modeling that setting boundaries is okay and is actually something that is good and respectful,
Yeah.
so that they understand they can set boundaries in their world too, right? Like, and
Right.
I think that's important. You know, my 9-year-old was mad at us the other day for something, and he wrote a note on his door that said, "Do not come in, do not say goodnight." And,
I'd be like, yes, night free.
I know. And I knocked and I just kind of opened. I was like, "Hey, just checking to make sure that this is still what you want." And
Yeah.
he, you know, took it back and we came in.
No.
But we respected the boundary because my
Yeah.
husband was like, "Oh, does he want us to?" And we both stopped. Neither one of us forced our way into his room. We just kind of peeked in. We're like, "Hey, just checking in. Is this?" And he's like, "I guess you can come in." And we were like, "Okay, okay." But even as a 9-year-old, we were respecting the boundary he was setting. And if that was what was most important to him, even though we as parents were like, "I think you're going to regret this boundary you're setting
Yeah.
because I think you're going to want a good night," we were prepared to go, "Okay, we love you.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the morning," because that was the boundary he was setting.
Right. And what do you want their future relationships to look
Mm-hmm.
like? Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, I'm a mom of lots of girls. So I want their no to be respected.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, we're talking big picture parenting. If they communicate with a friend or a coach or a teammate or a potential partner, no, I'm done. I'm not comfortable here, or I'm all done. My body, my intuition is telling me I'm done. I really, really, really want that teammate, that friend, that potential partner to stop whatever's happening and say, okay, great. Thank you so much for blah, blah, whatever it might be. And if I am the first connection for my kiddo and I teach them that I can always push past that no, what does that communicate to them about what that teammate, that coach, that friend, that potential partner can push back to? I want my kiddos to know that what they say is important and listening to their bodies is important and should be respected by whatever sort of, friend or partner or whoever comes along. So remember boundaries. The whole goal here is raising adults who know how to function in the world by saying, hey, I'm not going to let you speak to me that way. Or, hey, I'm not going to engage with that. Or, hey, I'm not comfortable. I'm going to go ahead and go. Where they can set boundaries for themselves. And they know that when they do, the other person has a responsibility to stay within that fence as well. So again, we can dial into one meal, but they will eat more this one time. But what about the big picture? What about the whole week? What about the lifetime of good relationships you want with eating, the lifetime of good relationships you want with you, with friends, with colleagues, with partners, with everything? Go back to that big picture. And if you need to take a break because the anxiety is high, good, there's your boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, my anxiety gets high. I need to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Walk away and breathe and punch a pillow or, mimic Aubrey's toddler who needs to kick something. So where's a pillow? Pillows are great, by the way. So
I really enjoy that he narrates it right now. He will literally go kick as he kicks. I'm like,
love
"Thank
him
you
so
for
much.
communicating so effectively what you are doing." Um, so
We're a little over. I'm sorry, but yeah, he is the most funny human on the planet.
he's great, so great. He's currently going through a stage where if he could crawl back into my uterus, he would. Like
Mhm.
he is. If he is not literally in physical contact with me, like if I shift to get a book, he'll be like, "Mama, Mama." I'm like, "Right here. I am right here."
Yep. Yep.
There's a lot of boundary setting. I am not going to pick you up right now. I can hold your hands, but I am not going to pick you up right
Yep.
now. So like there's a
Boy.
lot of boundary setting at our house right now.
Oh boy.
So we are going to be wrapping up. I
Yeah.
saw one more question come in, so I just want to glance at it.
Oh, TV at the table. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
I think that's the wrong approach.
yeah, we
That's
don't,
my
I mean, it's a different conversation, and actually we have a Q&A on it about distractions at the
Mhm.
table. But this again, I mean, a good rule of thumb is anything you are doing to try to get your child to stay at
Yeah.
the table longer or eat more is
Yeah.
probably not something you should be doing.
Right. And again, Miss Rachel isn't a feeding tube either, just like
Correct.
you're not.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
he loves his show, that's awesome. Miss Rachel is pretty stinking great.
Yeah.
So he can watch his show after breakfast is
Yep.
over, and it doesn't have to be attached to eating.
Yep.
Let him enjoy
Exactly.
Miss Rachel because Miss Rachel is enjoyable, not
Yep.
enjoying Miss Rachel because you can get some strawberries in there.
Right. Yep. I totally agree.
I can elaborate on that for you, Mom, if you want me to. I can come back and write something. But yeah, that's my thought.
And if any, I saw people kind of coming in as we were finishing up. So if you have questions, feel free to post them here. We will come back and take a look at them. We have to wrap up. Thank you everyone for bearing
Yes.
with us with our technical difficulties earlier. And
Stupid Zoom.
I know this is on both. So since both the members only and the business page are seeing this, just as a reminder, next Sunday, we are going to be talking with some GIE families about why they chose GIE. So if
Yeah.
you have been on the fence, so you're kind of like, well, was this program unique? These are families that volunteered to do this discussion and went through the same process you're going through as to like, how do I pick a program? How do I find somebody? And you'll get an opportunity to hear from them and also ask questions live.
Right. Yep. We're so excited. I will be there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everybody, happy Monday. I'm sorry. I wish it
May
wasn't
the
Monday.
fourth. No, we're like, all done. All
All
done.
done. All done.
Monday. All done.
But have a great week. And
Yeah.
we'll see you guys on Sunday.
Bye.